Hey guys, what's going on? Sherman here. Long time no review, but I have been really looking forward to doing this review because this is a knife that I have been really excited about ever since I saw, I don't think it was the unveiling of it, but it was the first time I ever saw it, and that was in a Blade HQ Blade Show video that they did. They did a ZT booth review, and they showed this knife. This knife being the Zero Tolerance 0566, the smaller and more budget-friendly version of the ZT0560 line. And like I said, I have been really excited about this knife, and a lot of you guys have been. I've seen a lot of threads and message forums and message boards and whatnot. A lot of people have been talking about this knife, but it has been kind of hard to find. Not a lot of websites have this available yet. I got this off of the Kershaw Guy website. Paid about $144 for it. That is the cheapest I've seen this knife. I've seen it $144 on a couple other websites. The most expensive I've seen is about $160. But you know, of course, if you can get it for $144, do it. But I don't believe any website has this currently available. I know that Knife Art got a couple, but then they sold out pretty quick. But I know a lot of you guys have been really excited about this knife. I've been getting a ton of questions on it. Like I said, not a whole lot of videos. I first saw it on Iceman's channel. He has one. He's had his for longer than I have had mine. But anyway, I've just been really excited to talk about it, and because I've really been enjoying this knife, been enjoying carrying it, been enjoying using it, been enjoying playing with it. It's just a really fun knife. It's a really good knife. And like I said, I've just really been anxious to talk about it. So let's just get into this review, guys. I'm going to start off with some specs. The blade length on this knife is 3.2 inches. Overall length is 7.7 inches. And the weight is 5.3 ounces. So I think that's a good weight for a knife this size. Now, like I said, this is the more affordable version of the 0560 line of knives, also designed by Rick Henderer. And there are a lot of key differences between this knife and that one. So I'll go over that in this review. Obviously, right off the bat, the most noticeable difference is going to be the price. Now, a lot of people are going to wonder, well, does that reflect quality? Well, like I said, I'll get into that. So, like I said, price, $144 to $160. That is, if you're paying $144, it is almost half the price of the original price of the ZT0560. Being $260. Now, I've been seeing the 0560 and 561 go lately for around $200, so it's dropped in price a lot. But still, this is a little bit cheaper. So if you guys have always wanted a 0560 knife, or 0560 or 0561, but couldn't justify the price, maybe you didn't like the size of it, maybe it's too big. I know a lot of people complained and said it was too big for them. Maybe you don't want to have to hassle with, you know, titanium being soft and wearing in over time, and ZT, you know, their history of having bad lock geometry. I believe it's fixed now with some of their later models, like the black coated and their dark washed versions of the 0560. I believe they have fixed the lock geometry, but you know, if you wanted a little bit more reliable media, such as stainless steel, slightly smaller, slightly cheaper, then you definitely want to check this knife out. If you've always wanted a 0560, but like I said, you didn't want all that other stuff, definitely give this knife a try. This has been a great knife. Obviously, some more key differences. This is an assisted knife. It came with a torsion bar. I took mine out because this knife, along with its counterpart that has come out at the same time, that is actually a little bit more easy to find, and that is the 0770. Which is the more affordable version of the 777. Also a really good knife, but I wanted this one. It's because I like the design a little bit more. And that one was an aluminum scaled liner lock, and I just don't really prefer aluminum scales. That's just my opinion. That's just my preference. Anyway, the main difference is that ZT was really cool, and they drilled detent holes in the blades of these knives. Meaning, you can carry this manual. You can de-assist it. It has a detent. You can make this a manual knife. So that is great. I have absolutely no idea why they even put a torsion bar in this knife with an action that good. I have absolutely no idea why they did that. But, I don't know if you guys will be able to see. You can see right in there, that little hole. That is the detent hole. It meets up with that stainless steel ball bearing right into that hole. Sucks the blade in. So that is great that they did that, and I think they're going to start doing that with more of their models because they know people prefer smooth manual action flippers. At least I do. I got this knife pretty smooth, and as you see, it is pretty dang centered. So another key difference of this knife is that it is a stainless steel frame lock as opposed to a titanium frame lock. Stainless steel is going to be a little bit more reliable media. It is not going to wear in over time because it is around the same hardness as the steel blade. Like I've said in many reviews, but if you guys haven't seen those, titanium is softer than steel. Titanium just happens to be stronger, meaning you can bend titanium more than you can steel, and titanium will kind of flex back. It has a lot more spring in it, basically. So titanium can bend without breaking or deforming as easily as steel can. However, steel is harder. That is why. So, titanium is stronger than steel, but it is not as hard as steel. A titanium frame lock is going to contact that steel tang over and over and over again. Eventually, it's going to wear off several layers of titanium, meaning you're going to get lockup issues over time. You're going to have the knife serviced and whatnot, unless the face of the lock bar has been heat treated like Spyderco is doing now. But that's why you see stainless steel lock faces now, like those inserts, like the Spyderco Domino. So, a little bit more reliable lock media. It is going to give you many more years of use as opposed to a titanium frame lock. So that's good, and obviously it's going to make this knife cheaper. Makes it a little bit heavier, but it's going to make it a little bit cheaper. Cheaper. Another difference with this knife is you can see it does not have a 3D CNC machined handle. Like the ZTZR560, it had that rounded contour to the handle. And all those milled pockets out looked really cool. It does not have that same cool factor. It's just straight up black peel ply G10. I really hope to see different colors in the future, or replacement scales for this. But the peel ply is good. It is very grippy. I think it is on par with the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, the black Paramilitary 2. The black peel ply is a lot different than the Digicam peel ply for whatever reason, but it is on par with that. It is very grippy, and I like that. The edges of the stainless steel frame and the G10 are chamfered, meaning it is beveled, ground at an angle, so there's no sharp corners on this knife and the handle. Very nice chamfering. So very, very comfortable to hold. Like I said, no sharp edges on that, so that is really good. See, jimping up top. It is a lot different than the 0560. It is not thumb shredding. It is functional. It is functional, I give it that. The one complaint I have with it is that you can see the jimping on the frame side is a lot different than the jimping on the liner side. You can see the liner side is much more grippy looking. It is a lot more sharp looking. This one is much more rounded and actually not functional whatsoever. So I don't know why they did that. But the jimping does not hurt your finger anymore like with the 0560. A lot of times when you'd flip it, it would shred your index finger. So you do not have that problem with this knife. And you also have jimping down here on the bottom for like where your pinky's gonna rest. No, I was never really sure why they jimped that, but it's there. It's not painful. It's sort of functional. But anyway, also with the handle, the screws are countersunk, so they're almost flush with the scale. Really good, very beefy screws. I like that. There's your pivot. Very nice lanyard loop, or like it's more like a lanyard oval, but I really like the lanyard holes they put on these knives. Loved it on the 0560, and I love it with this knife. I think that's how you should be able to do it. You can just put a 550 cord lanyard straight through there without even gutting it. So that is really cool. 3 standoffs. Open the blade so you can see a little bit better. I believe these are the same standoffs they used with the 0560 and 561. They look to be about the same. They're coated black and they kind of have that hourglass shape. Just very good heavy-duty standoffs. Love it. Deep carry pocket clip. It is different than the 0560s. I actually prefer that one over this one, to be honest with you guys, but I know a lot of you said that you prefer this one, and that's cool. It's just, you know, people's opinion. This is the same clip you can see on a lot of Kershaw and other ZT design knives. It's just a really good clip. It's a good deep carry clip, good retention on it. And since this is a smooth frame, you don't have to worry about it tearing up your pocket. It's very easy to get on and off the pocket. Only this much of the knife's going to show. So it is a very good deep carry clip. There's your ZT logo on there. It is etched on there, kind of a 3D look, like the ZT logo on the blade of the 0560. Very cool. You can see it has a little scratch, a few scratches on it. I may actually strip this down to just regular, like a satin finish. I may take that black coating off. You see ZT's hex-shaped pivot. That's great. So when you tighten that down, it doesn't spin, doesn't go anywhere. Hinderer's patented lock bar stabilizer, which keeps the lock bar from moving downward that way. And also keeps it from extending outward. So you guys all know about that. I may actually mod mine, you know, put my 9mm on there. But very nice. There's your cutout. And you can see that big relief cut for the lock bar. So that makes the lock bar tension very strong, which is good. It's going to make the bar, it's going to make the lock engage on the tang very strong, and it is. It's good engagement, rock solid, absolutely no blade play, up and down or side to side. So that's good. It is rock solid lock up, like I can expect with a good stainless steel frame lock. So very good engagement. The lock was a little bit sticky, and that's because when I took this knife apart to take the torsion bar out, I noticed that the tang of the blade was very roughly cut, and I could actually run my fingernail up and down and feel the grinds, whereas most of the time tangs are finished and smooth. But I put a little bit of graphite on there, made it a little bit better. So if you guys want to see the lockup, there it is. But like I said, it is very strong lockup, which is what gives this knife such a good detent. See, it just sucks the blade in. Very strong detent. So that's good. Take a look at that blade. There's that 3.2 inch Elmax steel blade. Beautiful shape. I've always loved this blade shape. Forgive the dog barking. But like I said, very functional blade shape, very strong tip. When I close the knife, you can see, you guys can see that diamond shape. It'd be easier this way. You can see the tip kind of comes down to that diamond. I love to see that grind. And it makes that because you have this swedge up top, but it stops right before it gets to the tip. So what it does is that it gives you a very strong tip that you can use to pry if needed. I do not recommend prying with a knife, but you can, you know, if you had to, because this is considered a tactical, hard use knife. But it is a very sharp tip also, so it is a very nice tip design. So it's just nice looking too. You have all these kind of different grinds. So ZT logo up top. See on the back is the model number, Hinder design, USA made. That's really good to see. Elmax. And there's my serial number for this knife. I didn't know they had made this many already, because like I said, you can't really find these knives. So I guess they just made a whole bunch and haven't shipped them off to the retailers yet. See, it's a stop pin up here. It is a floating stop pin, so it kind of spins a little bit, meaning it's not going to wear in one spot too much. But that is only the stop pin for the closed position. You can see the flipper resting up against it. The blade stop for the open position is, of course, the thumb studs, just like with the 560. So ambidextrous thumb studs. You see it rests into those little cutouts. Very nice. One thing that I did forget to mention is that the pocket clip is reversible from tip up to tip down, left and right hand carry. So that's great. I love that they carried that over from the 0560. So lefties can enjoy this knife. You know, because like I said, it does have the ambidextrous thumb stud, and flippers are always going to be ambidextrous. Let's see if I can flip it left-handed. Not really, but I'm not ambidextrous. All right, action is great on this knife. It flips out beautifully. It's very smooth. Once I had to break it in a little bit. I had to lube it up, but it does flip great. It is comfortable to flip, and the thumb studs work great. I know a lot of people complained originally with the 560 about not being able to use the thumb studs. The knife flies out with the thumb studs. It works better with the thumb studs than it does the flipper, to be honest. But flicks out, like I said, beautifully. Thumb stud flips out great. It is a push button style flipper, meaning you push straight down and then slightly back. Whoops, I have to kind of preload it. So you can't really take it and like swing straight back on it. It's just you can do it if you put a little bit of force behind it. But it is on phosphor bronze bushings. It does not have the bearings like the 0560. Obviously, like I said, you got to cut the cost. You can probably see the washers in there. So obviously, you know, it's not going to be as smooth. But also, ergonomics are terrific. If you guys have never held the 0560, you're probably not going to know what I'm talking about. If you have held the 0560, it is just as comfortable. If not, I can just tell you the ergonomics are fantastic. Extremely comfortable knife in forward and reverse grip. It just feels great. It does not have as big of a forward finger choil, but that's okay. It's still just as comfortable. You have that finger choil. Flipper, of course, turns into a finger guard. Then you have that gradual swoop, full 4-finger grip. You have that kind of palm swell right there. Just feels great. And the jimping is adequate, not overly sharp, but it is functional. So it's just great ergonomics. And reverse grip feels fantastic also. You know, you grab it, and with my hand anyway, my middle finger rests in that little divot in the pocket clip, and I can put my thumb up top to get like an ice pick grip, and it feels great. So, great ergonomics on this knife, great action without the torsion bar, very smooth. Let's see if I can show you guys. It's pretty dang smooth. I mean, not as smooth as, you know, a knife on bearings, obviously, but it is very smooth. So, terrific knife. The Elmax steel on this is good. I know a lot of people have kind of questioned it because it's been kind of controversial ever since a few big name YouTubers have criticized Lion Steel's application of it and ZT's application of it. Excuse me. Talk about how they ground the edges probably and ruin the heat treatment of it. But I've had good experience with my Elmax steel, but I did reprofile the edge on this knife because out of the box it was not sharp. It was quite dull, so I did have to reprofile it and sharpen it myself. So it's had really good edge retention. Elmax steel, I really like Elmax. It has really good edge retention. It takes a razor sharp edge. It is very corrosion resistant, so I don't think you guys are going to have to worry, especially in this price range. But one of my complaints with this knife is that the lock bar is kind of difficult to disengage, and that is mostly because the edges on the lock bar are very rounded and very smooth. Whereas the 560, they're kind of sharp. It gave your thumb something to grab onto. With this knife, it just kind of rolls off, and what you're having to do, at least with me anyway, I don't know if anybody else is going to have this problem. With me, I'm having to push down into the lock bar just to get my thumb to dig into that jimping. And it's kind of painful because my thumb keeps wanting to slip off, and it's just kind of painful. So what would fix that is if ZT actually made that a little bit sharper, didn't round that corner off as much, or if they cut the frame side down just a little bit so I can get my thumb in there a little bit more. Because like I said, what I'm having to do is I'm having to press down so hard just to get my thumb to catch on something of the lock bar. And like I said, the lock bar tension is very tight, so it takes a little bit of force to unlock it. So a lot of times what I'm having to do, if I'm sitting and playing with this knife a lot, and I'm unlocking it over and over again, it kind of gets painful, so I take my thumbnail and shove it down in there, and kind of makes that a little bit easier. So that's kind of a minor complaint, though. I don't know if anybody else is going to have that problem, or you know, if it just happens to be just some models are like that, some aren't. One other slight nitpick that I want to make with this knife that some people may seem is unfair. I don't know, like I said, I'm saying it is a slight nitpick, is the price. Even at $144, which may seem like a good deal, you're not really getting much more out of this knife than you are, say, a ZT-0350 that you can get for about $100. Or sometimes they're on sale, you can get them under $100. So what makes this $44 to even $60 more? I'm honestly not sure. With that, you're getting S30V. I know some people say LMAX is going to be a more high quality steel. I don't know, that's subjective. I think what a lot of times what you're paying for is the licensing. Rick Ender's licensed, his trademark, a lock bar stabilizer. Of course, this is his design, so he's got to get a little bit of the money. So I guess that's what it is. But, that is a slight nitpick. I think this knife could just be a little bit cheaper for what you're getting. Because like I said, you're not really getting a whole lot more with this than you are something else from ZT that costs about $100. So, minor nitpick. It is what it is. But definitely check this knife out, guys. It is a great knife. The manual action on it is pretty dang good. It is smooth, good steel, great shape, great ergonomics, carries well. Just a really good knife. If you get the chance to pick one of these up, I highly recommend this knife. Alright guys, of course, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments box. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay sharp, and God bless. Sherman614, peace.